Welcome back, everyone, to the Loki Season 2, Episode 1 spoiler review. I am Mitch. As always, you can follow me on the socials. The link tree's in the description. So, yeah, I think we should just get right into it. Now, Season 2, for me, has arrived at just the right time. Because after Secret Invasion, nearly 2 months ago, or just over 2 months ago now, that was rough. Obviously, we just had Ahsoka from Star Wars, but for Marvel, Marvel needed, I think, this because for me, this was strong. This was a strong opening. So I honestly don't know how they can have such whiplash with the quality of their streaming shows. I know that they've been up and down to some degree, depending on who you ask and who you are, or whatever. But I think for Secret Invasion, you'd be forgiven for thinking that Loeb and Buck made that show, but for it's only just been 2 months really. It's 2 months and a week, but they've come out again with the premiere episode of Loki, and it's just as strong as the first season's premiere episode. Personally, which somehow just it's been 2 years. 2 years since Loki came out and graced the screens, and genuinely, I'm still surprised that Loki's one of my top shows. One of my top shows, to be honest. There's some that I think I prefer more. I think if I had to rank everything, I don't think Loki would be in the top three. But strongest wise, I think Loki's probably one of, if not their strongest show. So yeah, but I think quality wise for everything else, they got to sort it out, and I think they've got to figure it out quickly because I just don't think they can carry on going up and down with the quality of these shows. Really, sure you can put everything down to a bigger workload and not enough people have time to get these out, and that's probably a Chapek issue more than like a say Feige issue, but to get these shows to a place where they need to be, I'm just thankful at the end of the day that Loki, in true Loki fashion, has managed to slip that quality net twice, or the bad quality net twice, and give us what we have, and hopefully it can maintain this level, or if not, just ramp up and get better as the season goes on. Now, a good chunk of this premiere episode is Loki time skipping or time slipping. I can't remember exactly what they call it in this. It's essentially, if you've seen Spider-Verse, you know what this is. This is them glitching. They're not supposed to be doing what they're doing, and the timelines aren't liking it, and all that science fiction mumbo jumbo. You know how it works. Now, there has been a bit of talk online about how exactly the TVA works. Because I think season 1, if I remember rightly, said that the TVA is outside of time, but then in this episode, Loki's time slipping backwards and forwards to the past and the future, and obviously the present of the TVA. So it's obviously naturally on a timeline, but at the same time, they also pull Loki out of time through the sacred timeline. So it's obviously the time exists in the timeline, it's just it operates outside of it while being anchored to it. It's one of those where you just don't think about it. Just don't think about it. It's timelines, different dimensions. There's no real explanation for any of it really. It's the more you think about it, the worse it gets. But staying with the topic of time, the show wastes absolutely zero of it establishing the status quo of not just the TVA but also the core cast. So whilst the ending of season 1 turns out just to be Loki in the past and not an actual remodeled TVA, like I think it's fair to say a lot of people thought, right, everyone was saying that it's just Kang being freed, then instantly jumping back to the beginning to always make him have been in charge of the TVA, which it's a very Kang move, and I think one that everyone kind of expected how that was going to go. Instead, season 2 decides to go a different way, and one that personally I think sticks with how Endgame established time travel for everything, right? So you can't go back to the past. You can't go back and change the past, because going back to the past then becomes your future, which then becomes your present. So you can only really go back to somewhere that resembles your past. It's like the time travel becomes a multiversal thing, right? So you're not actually changing any event, which then also stops Kang from doing the same. So obviously the TVA was in fact built by Kang, or at least a Kang. We don't know if it's the Ant-Man Quantumania Kang, the quote, the Conqueror, or just a different version of Kang we've yet to actually meet. But either way, a Kang built that facility before He Who Remains took over everything, right? So moving on to the core cast being Loki, Mobius, B-15, Casey, they're exactly where we leave them in season 1, because obviously this season just picks right up where we left off, with only Loki having like any sense of what's going on around him. Well, not of exactly what's going on, because obviously it's a different mystery and everything, but he was kicked out at the end by Sylvie, who's surprisingly absent for this premiere. She's barely a cameo in this, but that one little shot of Sylvie in the elevator is obviously going to mean she's got a pivotal role, right? She's going to have a bigger part to play in this, because whether it's her that prunes Loki and saves him from the time skipping, or if it's actually she's back with Loki again, but it's just the future themselves. So it's going to be one of those Back to the Future moments where you're occupying two spaces at once, which could be why he's time skipping. Who knows? But she does inevitably save him from being lost to time in the TVA's future. Now, personally, everyone just brings their A game here. K-Hugh, I think it's K-Hugh Kwan. I think that's how you pronounce it, and it's my bad. I should have looked it up beforehand, but until otherwise, I'm going to stick with K-Hugh Kwan. Okay, his Ouroboros, or OB for short, nails this role. He is, personally for me, this entire episode, he's unmatched. No one comes close to him, which is, it's, for me, it's saying something, because you have the back and forth coming back with Mobius and Loki. Their dynamics is fantastic, but Kwan's performance in this, it's very reminiscent of Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I'm amazed I said that first go. So let's take that where you will. But anyway, the guy, he just drips talent, right? He's fantastic, and I pray that he's safe in this season and he's back for every season that this show has left. Just give me more OB. We need more of him. He's just fantastic. But that's gonna bring us to an end. So as I said at the top of this review, this episode of Loki is strong, and I think that's all I have to say on that one. So yeah, if you haven't watched it, go check it out. If you've been on the fence, especially after the last Marvel offering for Disney Plus, I wouldn't worry personally. This is a strong start, a very strong start. I know there's some, the big site reviews are reviewing, I think, at least the first 4, so 80% of this show. They haven't seen the last 2, so. Yeah, it's been getting good buzz. It's been getting good reviews. Unless you're IGN, then. But who cares about IGN? Ugh. But so yeah, go watch this. And if you haven't already, please go check out the Ahsoka spoiler cast for the finale. Me and Jared from the Nerd Academy podcast, friends of the show, go check their channel out. They are great. If you like Star Wars, then the Nerd Academy podcast YouTube channel is the right place for you to go. So yeah. Stick to this channel though for more Loki coverage. So bye bye.